We found an egg on the ground. I'm bored. This is boring, Mars complains, stamping her foot. All the adults want to do is work, and they're not paying attention to me. So now we can give gifts. Since we found that egg, we could potentially give that to people. But the items also can be used to help us in the card challenges. So I can give +1 to a card and change its suit to red. I need some time off. Yeah, my stress is maxed. You can see our character's portrait is clearly unhappy. Anything new from you two? Your dad sneezes and wipes his nose with a handkerchief. Whew, this pollen, he says, his voice thick with congestion. Someday, I'm gonna get used to this. Nope, she's still got the same things that she's been saying. Cal and Tammy. Have you tried standing in mud yet? Cal asks you. It's the best, most amazing feeling I've ever felt. You look down and sure enough, Cal's feet are bare and muddy as heck. Dirt and grass feel neat too, he continues. Sometimes the rocks hurt, but Mom says I'll build calluses. You should try it. Tammy's dad is... Okay. That's the same thing she said last month. Tonin probably won't have anything new. Nope. This. Oh, you found me. This is adjusting better than you'd expected to life on the surface. He's already found new places to hide and do whatever he does out here by himself. Anemone runs up to you. Hi, Selene. She huffs, catching her breath. She grins. On the ship, adults are always saying, no running, Anemone, no running. But outside, there's so much room. I can run for 5 minutes in one direction, even more after the robo-plows clear the land for farms. Tangent looks up at the sky and shades her eyes. It's too bright, she complains, and it's too hot, and the nights are cold. Living on the stratosphere meant we never had to experience discomfort. Run me, why aren't we putting our resources into repairing the ship? Alright, but we are overloaded on stress, so we need to rest for the month. The ship's core is where everyone sleeps, eats, and hangs out. The private bedrooms are small, you share them with your parents, so colonists spend most of their time in the big common area. There's a lounge and cafeteria and a creche where all the little kids and babies are raised communally. I think I'd already read that. But we will relax in the lounge. The lounge is a long, well-lit hall along the outer hull of the ship's midsections. It's strewed with tables and cushions and serves as a communal living room for the tiny one-room spaces every family is assigned. You flop down into the lounge's big beanbag pile with some of the other kids. And this room is super cool. Just graphically. I'd like to have a room like that. I wouldn't like to clean it, but I'd like to have it. Cal has a dazed, peaceful look on his face. The air smells so good on Vertumna, and so does the dirt even. You notice his clothes are filthy, but obviously Cal couldn't care less. Anemone bounces in. Holy crap, there's so much space to run around and play in. Common Chief Rhett set up an outdoor sports ball court, and it's way huger than the old one on the ship. Tangent carefully selects one cushion from the pile and perches on it. The school is expanding to some of the empty engineering bays, she tells you, and we're getting a big new lab to do experiments using local resources. There's so much to learn about this planet. Anemone rolls her eyes, but Tang continues. We shouldn't forget our studies just because we've landed, she says primly. What feels slightly out of order, Jorenda? Yeah, we already know about the sports ball court. So this is an event that happens whenever we rest for the first time, and because we waited a while to rest, then it's kicking off. But it's kind of the first time that everyone is hanging out together. So maybe Anemone hasn't told everyone else about the sports ball court. Yeah, we shouldn't forget our studies just because we landed. Tang's right, school is important. School, let's play outside. I want to explore the jungle, or I miss space. School, I suppose. Sure, Tang's right, school is important. Our character seems to be reasonably studious. Tammy nods in agreement. It's scary out there, she mumbles. I'm going to stay close to our quarters for now. So that's Tang and Tammy that we gained bonus points with. You've had less of the deja vu dreams come to life feeling this week, and you're starting to think that you'd even imagined it, but suddenly you get a prickling sensation in the back of your neck and remember that Mars is about to enter the lounge and tell everyone to look outside. You stare at the door. Mars walks through it as if on cue. OMG, everyone, look outside. They're hoisting a flag over command, she says, clapping her hands excitedly. You know what that means, right? She stands tall with her hands on her hips. Vertumna is officially humanity's first exocolony ever. You look out at the flag feeling dizzy and silently mouth the words along to what she says next. You remember this moment so well. This is history, kids, she exclaims, wrapping anemone and tangent under each arm. And we were there. So we've lost 100 stress, and we can now choose one memory to get rid of. And of course, they randomly chose one of our 1 points rather than our 0 points. So we'll get rid of that one rather than the one that actually has a cool ability. Though this ability will screw us over in the future. Setting neighbors to this value. When we start having higher points, this card is going to keep accidentally setting things to lower points, and will get in our way. You wake from an afternoon nap. You squint into the pink-tinged light slanting through the windows. You must have fallen asleep in the lounge. Tammy's shadow falls across your nest of pillows. Oh, I'm sorry, Selene, she says, giggling. I didn't mean to wake you up. It's just so nice outside with pollen sparkling in the sunlight. I wanted to open the windows. You rub your eyes blearily. You're having the weirdest dream. Since you're awake, you should visit the cafeteria. Auntie Seaton is making a new kind of candy, she says. It's made of cotton. Isn't that weird? I have to go tidy the creche first, then I'll meet you there. Save some for me, okay? Tammy skips off towards the creche, humming to herself. So, spoiler warning, and just warning in general, this is the moment where one of our childhood friends is about to die. And there's no way to avoid it. So, just letting that be out there. Apologies for the spoiler, you're going to see it in a couple of seconds. So, prepare yourselves. We're going to go get that free candy. Yes, brace for impact. In the cafeteria, Auntie Seaton is cheerfully handing out masses of pink candy, puffy and soft like clouds. Oh, Selene, she says, handing you a wand with some candy spun around the end. Here, try some of this. We used to have it on Earth. You pull off a piece and give it a taste. It's so sweet at first that your mouth puckers. You've never tasted anything so sweet and so real. It's not at all like the soy sweets that the kitchen nanoprinters can make. It melts in your mouth, leaving a gritty residue on your tongue. You wait until everyone is gone, but Tammy never shows up. You look down at the cotton candy in your hand. It's wilted a little from the humidity, but it's kind of like her hair, you think, pale, pink, and so soft. You keep some to give her later. You're relaxing in your family's quarters after dinner. Your mom had to run off on some kind of council business, so you and your dad are playing a holo game together. When you're about ready to head off to bed, your mom returns. You can tell from the defeated slant of her shoulders that something has gone terribly wrong. Your dad starts to ask what happened, but she waves him away and approaches you. She sits down and takes one of your hands, holding it between her two strong, dirt-creased ones. Selene, I'm so sorry to have to tell you this, she starts. Her mouth quivers as she swallows, working on the next words. There was an accident this afternoon in the creche. Your friend Tammy has died. You try to understand her words. Tammy? Dead? That's impossible. You suddenly remember the cotton candy you were saving to give Tammy. Pink and fluffy, just like her hair. You put your hand in your pocket to get it, and what comes out is a sticky, dark red lump of hard goo. You stare at it, your mind blank. Ask what happened. Your mom tells you, as simply as possible, that Tammy was killed by an electric shock from a broken holoprojector. It was just an accident. You press her for more, for an explanation. A little girl is dead, someone you've grown up with, someone so like you. She wasn't sick or anything, you just saw her this morning. She was right there. Why? Your mom's eyes are sad when she tells you sometimes there's just no reason why. You aren't used to dealing with death, and you don't know what you're supposed to say or do. You sort of mumble, okay, then get changed and crawl into bed a full hour before your bedtime. You try to fall asleep, but you toss and turn for hours. You eventually drift off to a fitful dreams of that small, sticky red lump of cotton candy. We've now moved on to mid-pollen. So, one thing I will note from my first playthrough, if we go into saving the game, stream 1, and then we try and load an autosave, Pollen 1. Yeah, so if we load this autosave, and I'll do that just to show, yeah, it does feel a bit random. So the way the game works is that you get, on a second playthrough, you have memories from your first playthrough and so on, which means that later games will have different results. So if we do the same thing of relaxing in the lounge that we did last time, school is important, just like last time. We continue this along. We forget the memory. We have the same afternoon nap, but now we get something slightly different. The dream you're in is one you've had many times. The air is strangely pink and fluffy, kind of sticky, and you have to push your way through it. It feels like every step takes an eternity. You push through the pink cloud and emerge into the children's creche, a room you know well, to see your friend Tammy standing before an enormous bear made of pure light. It lunges at her, through her, and she collapses to the ground like a fainting fairy tale princess. You wake with your heart racing. Tammy's leaning over you from where you've been sleeping in a nest of pillows. So now we have this extra dream that we didn't have before. So she tells us about the candy, but then we get this extra options that we didn't have in our previous playthrough. So we can forget the dream and get the candy, or wait, go save Tammy. And so from a past life, we have this option to go save Tammy. So I'm not going... In my first playthrough, I did that because I reloaded, like, did I choose the wrong option and I got a friend killed? So I reloaded to try and see if I chose the other option, would she live? Which, I'll just say she doesn't. But it creates these new options, and so I saved Tammy and played through the whole game with Tammy still alive. So I kind of want to see the game as it's supposed to look like on a first playthrough. So I'm going to reload our save, where Tammy is dead, so I can see the game as it was supposed to play out on a first playthrough, which I haven't experienced. But for people that want to play through without having lost that character, you can just reload that save to save her, using knowledge from a past life that your first playthrough you aren't supposed to have, but the developers made it available. And on following playthroughs, it'll be easy to save her. And so that's how this game plays out, is this first playthrough, there's a lot of challenges, people are going to die, things are going to go wrong, but hopefully on subsequent playthroughs you can save more people and get better and better endings. Unfortunately, we're now back to stress 50 and in morning, so all skill increases reduced by 1 for 3 months, and some jobs and actions can't be performed. So kind of sucks that we just gained our stress back right to immediately lose it. But that's what happens when friends die. Tang is pacing around in front of engineering. She looks upset. It shouldn't have happened, she says. What happened to Tammy? It shouldn't have been possible. There was no reason for the holoprojector to break. Professor Hal said it was recently serviced and nothing was wrong with it before. She gestures angrily, just blew up for no reason. Nobody would have wanted to hurt her, so why? How? It doesn't add up. Sorry, Selene. I want to think about this some more. I hate when I can't find the answer. So now we're getting dialogue from everyone about Tammy, of course. Can you believe Tammy died? Dis asks morbidly. I heard Chief Engineer Instance tell someone about it. He lowers his voice. Tammy got shocked by a broken hall projector, the one in the creche with the dancing teddy bear, you remember? When she touched it, she got chucked all the way across the room. He makes a sailing motion with his hand, and bam! She was dead before she even landed. I'm gonna go, wow, really? Because kids are monsters? No. But, like, kids don't really understand. Maybe by 10 they would. But I also need to get Dis's friendship up more, and so complaining is probably not helpful. So, wow, really? Dis suddenly looks embarrassed. Yeah, I mean, it's too bad she's gone. She was nice. He tugs at the sleeve of his oversized jacket, but that's kind of a cool way to die. And we didn't even get friendship. What a shame. Anemone is chucking rocks at the strato, sending metallic clangs ringing through the colony. Stupid planet, she yells. Stupid crash. Stupid spaceship. She bends down to pick up another rock, but instead just sobs and braces her hands on her knees. Stupid everything. Why'd she have to die? It's not fair. Kids aren't supposed to die. Oh, Uncle Tonin. Her dad. You step cautiously through the gates. Selene, Uncle Tonin sighs as he breaks your path. He looks like he hasn't been sleeping. I'm sorry, but you shouldn't be out here. Our children are so young and so precious, so fragile. Please stay near the ship. And Cal is sitting in your mom's flower garden with his face in his hands. He's clearly been crying all morning and probably all of yesterday too. He and Tammy were really close. Whenever you guys used to play house in the crish, Tammy was always the mommy and Cal was the daddy. Even though you were just little kids, you were kind of always giggled about how obvious they were going to be together forever, like a princess and a knight. I miss her too. Me too, he sniffs, looking up at you. You can see how puffy and red his eyes are. Me really, really too. Tammy always liked these flowers, he mumbles. Sometimes I pick some for her. He runs his hands over the pretty white flowers. Don't tell your mom, okay? Tears well up and slowly leak out of his eyes. He doesn't even blink, just stares at the flowers as the tears run down his cheeks. You decide to give him some space. Your mom pats you on the shoulder encouragingly. I'm so sorry, Selene. Your dad gives you a hug. Sorry you're feeling blue, Selene. He says. Things will start to look up again soon. Not really the best response to kids suffering from trauma. Mars is staring into space, looking somber. She doesn't even notice as you come up beside her, and barely reacts when you say hello. I'm thinking about Tammy, she says quietly. She used to sit down there, the hill there, in that spot in the sun. Every morning, she'd just sit there for hours in the sun, doing nothing, just being happy. You stare down the hill at the spot near the entrance to the quarters. You can imagine her there, working on some little craft project, humming to herself. I miss her too. And now she's dead, Mars says, making a face. How's that for fair? Of all the people, how come it had to be my friend? You don't have an answer. You've never heard Mars call Tammy her friend before, but of course she was. Tammy was everyone's scared little sister, even though she was older than most of you. Mars clicks her tongue. Oh yeah, Administrator Seek is looking for you. I guess they need someone to do delivery jobs. She waves vaguely at the door behind her, distracted by her thoughts. So they're still looking for delivery people, which I probably still don't meet the requirements for. Anything new here? Doesn't look like it. So, what do you think we should do this month? Should we relax, burn off more stress again? Play some games with friends, get people together? Or just go back to studying? Play a game with people. Alright, we're gonna get a sports ball game going. Dirt and relax. Get people together to process, yeah. I'm gonna do sports ball. It seems like a thing to do. Goal of 13. We've automatically got 1 from this card. I don't know if I've mentioned that before, but that's giving us 1 on every challenge. We'll go 0, 1. So we want to go with this one next because it's going to keep these at 1. If I switched it around, then when I put 2 here, it would drop this one down to a 1. But that... Oh, actually, that dropping it to a 1 gives us 6 in a row. Or 6 points for 4 of a kind, which is higher than having that +1 there. This game is weird. What if we went there? 15. Okay. That's probably as good as we're gonna get. Now, best score would have been 17. So we gained a bit of bravery. We didn't actually get the toughness, and we got less bravery because we're in mourning. The colony is going to hold a funeral for Tammy. Do you want to attend? If you don't feel up to it, you could just skip it and take the month off instead, or you could get back to work. Yes, I'll attend. No, I want to grieve by myself. No, I'm too busy. Or Tammy who? That one is just rough. But yeah, I'll attend the funeral. The colonists gather in the recycling room. Bringing organics down to be recycled here is one of your chores, but you've only come here for a funeral twice. Both times a colonist had passed away from natural causes during the 20-year-long journey from Earth. This is the first time that there's been a funeral on Vertumna, and the first time for someone you actually knew. The mouth of the organics recycler has been polished, and a wreath of yellow flowers placed over the opening. Inside you can see a shrouded figure, Tammy's small, fragile body. Tammy's dad, Uncle Tonnen, is here, as well as your parents and Auntie Sedent, and the rest of the council. Cal is here with his mom and her partners, already crying in their arms. The room is packed with people, and the feeling of grief is so thick you can taste it in your mouth. Governor Udicott stands before the assembled crowd. There are no words to ease the pain we feel today, she begins solemnly. There is only the sad company of those of us left behind to share the burden of that grief. Tammy was our child, she continues, one of the first humans to be born in space, and the first to die on an alien planet. In her short life, she exemplified the very arc of the human accomplishment, bending hopefully towards life beyond our humble Earth. She is the first of us who can truly call Vertumna home. Her passing was as senseless as it was sudden. Losses like this are impossible to hold within oneself, a painful reminder that life is impossibly precious and fragile. But they can also remind us, as always, that as a community, we are capable of great strength. Udicott closes the door to the recycler. You hear Uncle Tonnen sob over the hum of the particle disintegrators beginning their work. As a community, we remember Tammy. As a community, we return her body to the soil that nourishes us. In this way, Tammy, our child from the stars, will never truly be lost to us. The ceremony is adjourned, but a few people stay back to console Uncle Tonnen as he keeps vigil over the recycler. Cal and Uncle Tonnen hold each other and weep openly. Your mom stays behind to receive Tammy's remains as the head of geoponics. She'll be responsible for adding them to the colony's precious supply of brown soil from Earth. Your dad accompanies you out of the recycling room. He clears his throat. I want you to know that you don't need to be okay, he says, clasping his warm hand on your shoulder. If you want to take the rest of the month off, everyone is going to understand. I think we will take the month off just because it makes sense from like a role-playing story perspective that getting back to school would be hard to do right now. Even though we don't need to burn off the stress quite yet. The prospect of just going back to school like everything is normal is too much to handle. You end up spending the whole month alternating between sleeping, scrolling the holonet, and staring into space. It's restful at least, and everyone gives you the time you need to process Tammy's death. We've now made it to early dusk.